Hello friends, in this video we shall compare and contrast two great games of bat and ball called baseball and cricket. Baseball has been around since 1744. It is played in many countries including USA, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Japan, Taiwan and Korea. Cricket is popular in all continents. Important countries which are members of International Cricket Council include Australia, England, India, South Africa and others. Let's start by comparing the two sports by first comparing their grounds. Baseball field is almost square in shape and cricket is played in an almost oval field. Baseball field is generally called as ballpark. It's a big ground and there are areas like dugout, which is where the players and managers and coaches sit when they are not playing on the field or they are not in the bullpen. At the bottom of the baseball diamond is the home plate and about 60 feet away from the home plate is the pitcher's plate. Pitcher's plate is on the pitcher's mound, which is 18 feet diameter circle. Other dimensions of the field are shown in the screen and you would observe that the fair territory is between the two foul lines and this is shown by green color and the reddish color on the screen. There are additional items to note in the baseball ground. There are two coaches boxes where coaches stand. There is a catcher's box within which the catcher has to keep his 2 feet when he is catching the ball. There are two batter boxes. So when a batter is batting, he has to stand in one of these boxes so that his hand and the bat is over this home plate and so that he swings the bat over this home plate. Now let's see the dimensions of the home plate. Home plate is a 5-sided quadrilateral shaped plate and the maximum length is on this side, which is 17 inches, and there is a 12 inches side like this and equal side like this here. Let's now take a look at these boxes in the real life from the real playground. Here is our home plate and you should know that it is desirable that the line connecting the home plate and the pitcher's plate and all the way up to the second base runs in east-northeast direction. Now we also have here the pitcher's plate dimensions, which is a rectangular slab and it is made up of white rubber and it is 24 inches long and 6 inches wide. The other three bases are square in shape and each is of the side 15 inches and then these are thick about 3 inches to 5 inches thick. 9 players in each team. Catcher stands about 4 feet behind the batter. Other fielding positions are shown on the screen and you would notice there are positions like shortstop fielder, second baseman fielder, right fielder, first baseman and so on. Let's now have a look at the cricket's playing ground. Cricket ground is oval in shape with its boundary between 65 and 90 yards. Between this boundary there is a 30-yard circle and within the 30-yard circle there is a rectangular playing surface called as pitch. Depending on where the bowler is bowling from, that end of the pitch is called as non-striker's end and where the batsman bats, that end is called as striker's end. The important piece of equipment that is used on the pitch is wickets. Wicket comprise 3 stumps and 2 bails. These 2 bails are very important as a batsman cannot be bowled out unless the bails are off. Dimensions of the wicket are shown here on the screen. Cricket ground can be divided into 2 halves, the onside and offside, and then there are broadly 8 areas called as square leg area, mid-wicket area, mid-on area, mid-off area and so on. There are 11 players in each team and they can be spread out throughout the field. Therefore, there are many fielding positions such as deep backward point, square leg area, square fine, short fine position, etc. You can watch our another video which is titled All Fielding Positions in Cricket Easily Explained, Third Man, Fine Leg, Square Leg, Mid Wicket, and this explains all the fielding positions very clearly. Okay, so now see how does the cricket pitch looks like. Dimensions of the cricket pitch are shown here. It's about 20 meters long. There is a crease within which the bowler has to bowl and the batsmen have to reach to complete a run. Important thing to note there is the popping crease, which is the front side of the crease, and the return crease, which is the side of the crease. Now let's compare baseball and cricket in terms of innings. These are slightly different in both games. In baseball we have 9 innings with 2 parts each, and in cricket there are 2 innings and there is no subdivision or subpart of an inning in cricket. In baseball, first part of an inning is called as top and the second part is called as the bottom of the inning. Middle of the inning is basically a break where players grab their equipment such as helmet. It is about 2.5 minutes in length. The scores at the end of the innings are added to a cumulative score and the team with most points wins. An inning comes to an end when the fielding team gets 3 hitters or runners out. After 3 outs, the fielding team takes their turn to bat and the batting team takes their turn to field. At the end of the 9 innings, the team which has most runs wins the game. See more columns on the scoreboard in a baseball game. These columns are R, H, and E. R is basically the number of runs scored by the batting team. H is the number of hits, which is basically the number of times the hitter was able to reach the first base. E is the number of errors committed by the fielding teams, and if these errors were not committed, the batter or the runner could have been out. Now on the screen here, we see that the home team has a score of 7 and away team has a score of 7. Since the home team was up in the 9th inning, they did not need to bat in the bottom of the 9th inning because the victory was already locked up. So in this case, if you see, home team with a score of 7 is the winner. In cricket, in one day and T20 formats, there are 2 innings and one inning is for one team and the second inning is for the second team. In the test match format, there are 4 innings, 2 each for team 1 and team 2. Let's now have a look at the typical scoreboard of a cricket match. This scoreboard is from the ICC World Cup 2019 match number 14 played on Sunday 9th June at the Oval, London, England, and India scored 352 runs and Australia scored 316. Since India had more runs, so India won. The scoreboard is divided into 2 halves. The first half is for the first inning and the second half is for the second inning. The first half is divided into multiple parts. The first part is related to the batsmen. Here the batsmen are listed and score of each of the batsmen is given against name of that batsman. So for example, here Shikhar Dhawan scored 117 runs, followed by Virat Kohli, who scored 82 runs off the 77 balls. He hit 4 fours and 2 sixes, and therefore the strike rate was 106.49. Strike rate is basically the number of runs scored divided by the number of balls. The second part of the innings scoreboard is basically the total, which is 352 runs scored by India, and here they lost 5 wickets and within 50 overs they were able to score 352 runs. In 352 runs there were 7 wides, that is W, and there were 3 leg by runs. Fall of wicket is shown in the next part. So the first wicket fell at a score of 127. It was Rohit Sharma, who went out, or who was out at the 22 over and third balls. The bottom part of the scoreboard is the opposing team's bowling record. Here Pat Cummins bowled 10 overs. There was no maiden over. A maiden over is the one in which the bowler concedes no run at all. And when he bowled 10 overs, he conceded total of 55 runs, and this was his economy rate. The economy rate is the number of runs given divided by the number of overs bowled. The second part is the scoreboard for the second inning, and as you see here, it is the Australian batting, then the Australian total score, fall of Australian wickets, and the Indian bowling, which was there when the Australian team was back. Now let's compare baseball and cricket on different equipment used. For example, in baseball we have a white colored ball with red colored seam. Its weight is just over 5 ounce and its diameter is about 3 inches. Unlike cricket, in baseball players are not allowed to rub the ball with their clothes or soil. Also, unlike cricket, many balls are used in a baseball game. Umpires carry a lot of them in a bag or a pouch in the field, and they frequently substitute one ball by the another new ball. Okay, so now let's have a look at the ball in a game of cricket. First of all, its weight is in general heavier than that of a baseball. And also its weight and the circumference or the dimensions change in different types of games. Like for women, it is different than the dimensions in the men, etc. A cricket ball can be in one of the 3 colors, red, white and pink. Compared to the red ball, at night, the white ball remains visible under the floodlights. Therefore, it is preferred during the day and night matches. However, the white ball deteriorates quickly. So, pink ball was introduced in 2010 for better contrast with players' clothing and improved night visibility during the day-night matches. Cricket balls are heavier and harder than the baseballs. At their core is cork, which is wrapped tightly many times with a string. This assembly is then covered by leather, and this leather encasing has 2 or 4 equal pieces. And irrespective of number of leather pieces, the 2 leather semispheres are stitched together at the equator of the ball with a seam. Let's now have a look at the baseball bat. It's a smooth club which is made up of wood or metal such as aluminum. Its weight varies from 0.94 kg to 1 kg, and its diameter varies from one end to the other end. And the diameter is up to the 2.75 inches at the thickest end. Its length can be up to 42 inches. Now let's see a cricket bat. A cricket bat has 2 parts, one is the blade and the other is handle. A little bit portion of handle is also inserted into the blade. If you see here, this is the front side of the bat and this is the back side of the bat, and the back side of the bat is also a little bit curved, and other dimensions of the bat are given on the screen. Important thing is that all bats must also, with or without protective covering, should be able to pass through this gauge, and the dimensions of this gauge are given here on the screen. Let's now see the baseball gloves. They are worn by all the fielders in one hand only. The webbing is allowed in the gloves which are used in baseball, and webbing is between all the fingers, like thumb and the index finger and all other fingers. The webbing is allowed. They are large gloves and they are also called as mitts. Note that there are different gloves worn by the catcher, fielder and the pitchers. Now let's see the gloves worn by the wicketkeeper in cricket. These are worn in both the hands and there is no webbing between the fingers, although some webbing is allowed to join the index finger with the thumb, and this is the only webbing that is allowed. In general, there are not other equipment worn by the fielders except that they can wear helmet when they are fielding at the silly point or some other location such as in the slip. Let's now see how the baseball game is played. It is played between two teams of 9 players each, and each team is directed by its coach or manager. Unlike cricket, having a captain in baseball team is not mandatory. In baseball, a captain position is sometimes given to a member of the team to acknowledge his leadership. The team which scores more runs wins. Therefore, the objective of each team is to score more runs than the other team. See, how does a baseball game start? At the start, umpires enter the field 5 minutes before the scheduled time. They go straight to the home base. Umpires meet managers of the two opposing teams at the home base. Then, home team manager gives the batting order of his team to the umpire. It is followed by the visiting or away team's manager who gives his batting order to the umpire. After this exchange, the batting order cannot be changed except that the substitutions can be allowed as per the rules. Compare it with the cricket in which the order in which a batsman go out to bat can be changed anytime by the team's captain. Each of the 9 players of the batting team bats in the order that his name appears in his team's batting order, given to the umpire by his team's manager. In case of substitution, the substitute player takes the place of the replaced player in the same batting order. Before the exchange of the batting order, the home team is the sole judge if the game should be held, started or not. After the exchange of the batting order, it is the umpire-in-chief who is in complete charge of the game, and he can decide when the game can be called, suspended or resumed on account of weather or any other condition of the playing field. Understand the layout of fielding team on the baseball field. A catcher stands directly behind the home plate. The pitcher takes his position within the pitcher's mound. Except for the catcher and the pitcher, all other fielders can stand anywhere in the fair territory. The catcher has to stand with both his feet within the lines of the catcher's box until the ball leaves the pitcher's hands. Catcher may leave this position anytime to catch a pitch or make a play except when the batter is being given an intentional base on balls. Though there are differences, a catcher can be compared to a wicketkeeper of the cricket game because both stand behind the batter and try to capture the ball thrown by the pitcher or the bowler. Now let's see how does the game start for the batting team. A batter comes onto the field and takes his position within the batter's box. Players bat in the same batting order as handed over to the umpire at the start of the game. Barring some exceptions, the batter has to keep at least his 1 foot inside the batter's box while he is batting. Before we proceed ahead, let's understand what is a strike zone in the baseball game. The strike zone is an imaginary rectangular area over the home plate. The width of this rectangle is 17 inches, which is same as the width of the home plate. The length of the rectangle is determined by the distance between the two horizontal lines. The upper line is drawn at the midpoint between the top of the shoulder and top of the batter's pants, and the lower horizontal line is drawn at the hollow beneath the batter's kneecap. So if you see here in this diagram, top of the shoulder is this and top of the pants is this. The midpoint of these 2 points is the upper horizontal line and the hollow beneath the kneecap is the lower line. The distance between these 2 lines determines the length of the rectangle. Strike zone is determined by the batter's stance as the batter is prepared to swing at a pitched ball. Therefore, we can say that it is different for different batters. On the other hand, in cricket, the wicket is same for all batsmen. It is fixed in location and size and it is not imaginary. Pitching in baseball means throwing the ball to the batter. There are 2 legal pitching positions, wind up and set. Pitcher may use either position at any time. Pitcher is also allowed to take cues and signs from the catcher as long as the pitcher is in contact with the pitcher's plate. Note that not just to the batter, the pitcher may throw the ball to any base provided he steps directly towards such base before making the throw. Pitchers do it to out the runner standing on the base. A pitcher has to indicate visually to the umpire-in-chief, to the batter and to the runners the hand which he will be using to pitch to the batter. The pitcher is not permitted to pitch with the other hand until the batter is retired, or the batter becomes a runner, or the inning ends, or the batter is substituted for another player, or the pitcher gets injured. A single pitcher can keep pitching the ball to all the batters of the opposite team in all innings. If a pitcher pitches all 9 innings, that is, he is not substituted, then he is said to have pitched complete game. Moreover, if he does not concede a run in all the 9 innings, then it is a complete game shutout. In baseball, there are 2 types of pitches thrown. First is fastballs, whose speed can reach up to 100 miles or 160 km per hour. Other balls are slower and are meant to move around in the air. Compare it with cricket's 3 ways balls are done. First is the fastest, called as pace. Next is the medium pace, and then there is spin bowling. Spin bowling is the slowest, but the ball moves around and changes direction the most. Now let us understand what does a count mean in baseball. The count denotes the number of balls and strikes a batter has in his current plate appearance. It is announced as the pair of numbers, for example 2-1, with the first number referring to the number of balls and the second number giving the number of strikes. A count of 3-2, that is 3 balls and 2 strikes, is known as a full count. When the hitter is ahead of a pitcher, the count is called as a hitter count. That is, number of balls is more than the number of strikes. Similarly, when strikes are more than the number of balls, it is a pitcher count. Note that the pitcher throwing the ball to the hitter is called as a delivery. It is same in cricket, that is, a bowler bowling to the batsman is called as a delivery. Let's now move to cricket's bowling, which is comparable to pitching in baseball. Let us first understand what is an over in cricket. An over consists of 6 consecutive legal deliveries bowled by a player from the fielding side from one end of the cricket pitch to a player batting at the other end of the pitch. When an over is finished, another player from the fielding side bowls the next over from the other end of the pitch. This is unlike baseball, where the same pitcher can keep pitching to the entire opposing team throughout the game from the same spot. In Test and first class cricket, there is no limit to the number of overs a bowler can bowl. However, in other formats, there is a limit to the maximum number of overs that a bowler can bowl. For example, in a one-day international match, a bowler can bowl maximum of 10 overs. In baseball, the pitcher has to stand and throw the ball. But in cricket, the bowler is allowed to run or walk up to a wicket and then throw the ball to the batsman batting at the other wicket. The bowler does not follow all the rules of bowling, then the umpire may declare that ball as a no ball. This ball does not count as one of the 6 legitimate balls in an over. In T20 and in ODIs, for the bowler throwing a no ball, a batsman is rewarded with an extra ball to play, and this ball is called as free hit. On the free hit, the batsman cannot be dismissed out by any method other than those applicable for no ball, which are run out, hit the ball twice and obstructing the field. So basically, a batsman cannot get out on a no ball or on a free hit, except he can be out as run out as hitting the ball twice and obstructing the field. A ball is a no ball when heel of the bowler's front foot lands outside of the popping crease, which is this here, the popping crease, or the bowler's back foot touches, or it is outside the return crease, that is the sidelines of the batting crease, which is this line. There are other scenarios for no ball. No ball is also called when the ball bounces more than twice before it reaches the batsman, or it rolls along the ground towards the batsman, or it actually stops before it reaches the batsman, then the ball is a no ball. Also, if a seam bowler bowls full toss ball which reaches waist height of the batsman, then the ball is also called as a no ball. However, a waist high full toss ball is permitted by a slow bowler, as long as the ball does not go above the batsman's shoulder. If the ball goes above the shoulder of the batsman, then the umpire will call that ball as a no ball. Umpire will also call a no ball when the bowler just throws the ball at the batsman and is not following the legal action, or is bowling dangerously or unfairly. It will also be a no ball when the bowler does not notify the umpire of a change in his mode of delivery. For example, when bowler changes from left arm to the right arm. A wide ball. If the bowler bowls the ball so high or so wide off the wicket that, in the opinion of the umpire, the ball goes beyond the reach of the batsman standing in a normal guard position to play, then the umpire may call the ball as a wide ball. Note that it is at the sole discretion of the umpire to decide if the ball is wide or not. A wide ball does not count as one of the bowler's 6 legitimate balls in 1 over, but also as a penalty, a run is credited to the batting team. A ball cannot be a wide ball if the ball touches any part of the batsman's body or the ball is out of the batsman's reach as a result of him moving away from the wicket or the ball. There are many aspects to bowling, such as speed, line, length, spin, etc. Line refers to how much away the ball takes the bounce from the rectangle formed by connecting two wickets. This is shown by the yellow colored band in this screen. Length is a measure of how far from the striker's wicket does the ball takes its bounce. If the ball bounces within 2 meters of the batsman's stump, it is called as a Yorker. If the ball lands between 2 meter and 6 meter from the batsman's wicket, it is a full length delivery. If it falls between 6 and 8 meters, it is called a good length delivery. And if the ball bounces beyond 8 meters from the batsman's wicket, it is called as a short ball. Let's now move to scoring runs in baseball. When the batter hits the ball into the fair area, he has to run to the first base. At the same time, if batter's teammate were standing at the first base prior to the ball being pitched, he has to run to the second base because we cannot have two players at the same base. Similarly, if there were a runner from the offensive team on the second base, he has to run to the third base also. If there were a runner at the third base, he has to run to the home base. One run is scored each time the same runner has progressed from home base to first base, and from first base to second, and from the second to the third, and from the third base to the home base. The batter does not have to touch all the bases in one hit of the ball. That is, if the batter hits the ball, he can choose to advance only up to the first base. Afterwards, the next batter takes on the home plate and bats. If he hits the ball legally, then that batter advances to the first base, and the earlier batter who was standing on the first base runs to the second base. Runner and batter can choose to run and touch more than one base in one hit. However, it is difficult to do without getting out. That is tag. There are 4 types of hits. First is singles, when the batter hits the ball successfully and reaches the first base. Second type of hits are called as doubles, when the batter hits the ball and successfully reaches the second base. Third type is triples, when the batter reaches the third base. And finally, there are hits which are called as home runs. A bunt by the batter is when, instead of hitting the ball hard, the batter just touches the ball so that it drops nearby. The purpose is to deaden the ball so that the base runners can advance or the hitter can get to the first base, while opposing fielders run in to make the play. Compare it with cricket, when during the pace bowling the wicketkeeper is standing far behind and the batsman just touches the ball and runs to score a single. Home run is a score of 1 run which is awarded to the batter's team when a fair ball passes over a fence or into the stands at a distance from the home base of 250 feet or more. By the fair ball, we mean that the ball is hit within the fair territory. The batter is then allowed to freely run and touch all the bases, that is first base, second base, third base and back to the home base. And after he has legally touched all the bases, 1 run is awarded. You can compare it to a sixer in cricket, but the difference is that in cricket, the batsman does not have to run 6 times across the pitch to get 6 runs. As soon as the ball flies over the boundary, the 6 runs are credited to the batsman. Stealing a base by runner means taking a lead and trying to advance to the next base before the pitch is made. The runner can take a lead anytime before the pitch is made and run as soon as the pitch is made, and reaching the next base before any fielder tags him out. So we can say that a steal is when a runner successfully moves from one base to the next without the batter hitting the ball. Let's now see how does a cricket match start. A cricket match starts with captains of both teams and the match umpire gathering in the cricket field for a coin toss. The captain who wins the toss elects to either bat or field first. A cricket game is between 2 teams of 11 players each. Each team is directed by its captain. The team which scores more runs wins. Therefore, the objective of each team is to score more runs than the other team. All 11 players of the fielding team spread themselves on the ground. A fielder can stand anywhere he likes provided he meets power play restrictions. Please watch our another video for full details on what is a power play and how power play restrictions come into play. One of the players of the fielding team starts to throw the ball from one end of the pitch. This end is called as non-striker's end. One of the players stands behind the striker's end wicket to capture the balls. He is called as the wicket keeper. He can wear protective equipment such as pads, gloves and helmets. Other fielders can also wear protective gears. For example, fielders at Sealy Point generally wear helmets. However, hardly anybody wears them other than the wicket keeper. Runs are scored by the batting side. Two batsmen from the batting side will go to the pitch. Both will stand on either side of the pitch. The bowler will bowl to one batsman. Batsman will hit the ball anywhere and both batsmen will run across the pitch to the other end. When both batsmen safely reach their opposite ends, one run is complete. While batsmen are running, fielders will try to capture the ball and throw it towards one of the wickets. If batsmen reach the opposite ends before the ball thrown by the fielder hits the wicket, a run is considered complete. If batsmen are quick, they can run across the pitch twice and hence score 2 runs, that is a double. Batsmen are allowed to run as many times and score as many runs as they can. However, scoring 3 runs or more is difficult and infrequent. 6 or sixer is hit by the batsman when the ball flies across the boundary without bouncing inside the playing area. The batsman who hit the sixer is credited with 6 runs. Unlike baseball, the batsman does not have to run across the pitch 6 times to get the 6 runs. 4. When the ball goes across the boundary line with at least one bounce inside the playing area, the batsman who hit the ball across the boundary line is credited with 4 runs. Unlike baseball, the batsman does not have to run across the pitch to get these 4 runs. Ideally, all runs should be scored after the batsman hits the ball with his bat. Sometimes, runs are scored when the ball is not hit by the bat of the batsman. Rather, the ball is hit by any body part of the batsman. Such runs are called as leg by runs. These runs are added to the batting team's total but are not credited to the batsman's record. Similarly, runs scored when the ball is neither hit by the bat nor by the batsman's body are called as by runs. For example, when the wicketkeeper is unable to capture the ball, which he was missed by the batsman, and the batsman successfully run across the pitch, then the run scored in this manner is called as a by run. Batting team is awarded 1 run when the bowler bowls a wide ball. Similarly, 1 run is awarded to the bowler when the bowler bowls a no ball. A no ball or a wide ball are not counted in the count of 6 legitimate balls to complete a over. Let's now get to the baseball. In baseball, a batter can get out in 4 ways: fly out, put out or tag out, forced out or strike out. When the batter hits the ball in air and the ball is caught by a fielder without the ball bouncing on the ground, it is called as a fly out. The ball does not have to be in fair territory to be caught. For example, a ball may be flying over a dugout. The fielder reaches into but not steps into the dugout to make the catch. In such a scenario, if the fielder is successful in catching the ball, the batter will be out. Note that in baseball, a fielder is allowed to reach over the fence, railing, rope or other line of demarcation to make a catch. He may jump on top of a railing or canvas that may be in foul ground. A flyout is similar to a cricket's catch-out. However, in cricket, if the fielder catches the ball outside the boundary demarcation, it is not a catch. The fielder has to be standing with both his feet inside the boundary, that is inside the fair ground. Put out or tag out. When a runner is not on a base and a fielder touches, that is tags, the runner with the ball, the runner is declared tag out. When a fielding player, while holding the ball, makes it to the base before the runner, then the runner is forced out. You can compare it to a run out in cricket, but the difference is that in baseball the fielder holds the ball and touches the base. But in cricket, the ball can be thrown at the wicket, and if it hits and the batter is still not reached into the crease, the batter may be run out. Strikeout. If the pitcher throws the ball in the strike zone and the batter misses the ball, then it is called as a strike, which is given to the batter. If the batter gets 3 strikes, not necessarily on the 3 consecutive pitches, the hitter is struck out. Note that 1. If the pitcher throws the ball outside the strike zone and the hitter swings and misses the ball, it will be still called as a strike. 2. If the pitcher throws the ball inside or outside the strike zone and hitter hits a foul ball which is a hit which does not go inside the 2 foul lines, this will be called as a strike. However, a foul ball cannot be a third strike. Remember that if the pitch is outside the strike zone and the hitter does not swing his bat, then it is known as a ball. If a hitter receives 4 balls, then he is rewarded and allowed a free walk to first base. This walk is also called base on balls. Although there is not much comparison, but you can still associate it with a wide ball in cricket. A ball which is too much away from the wickets and is not touched by the batsman is called as a white ball in cricket. In this case, bowler has to throw one more ball and the batting team is rewarded with one free run. Let's now get to cricket and see how does a batsman get out in cricket. There are many ways a batsman can get out in cricket. Let's start with the bowled out. If the bowler's delivery hits the stumps and the bails are dislodged, then the batsman is bowled out. Caught out. Batsman hits the ball in air and the fielder catches it before the ball touches the ground. Then the batsman is caught out. This is similar to a fly out in baseball. Handle the ball. If a batsman touches the ball with his hands, he may be given out by the umpire. Hit wicket. When a batsman lands up hitting the wickets with his body or bat and dislodges the bails, the batsman may be given out. Hit wicket. Hitting the ball twice. If a batsman hits the ball with his bat twice, he may be given out. Leg before wicket or LBW. We shall talk about this out just on the next screen. So we'll wait here for a minute. Next is obstructing the field. If a batsman obstructs the field by action or words, he may be ruled as out. Now coming back to leg before wicket or LBW. There is a detailed video that we have created and it's titled What is leg before wicket LBW out in cricket? Learn to remember, fully explained, very easy by Advice Faculty. This is a very detailed video which fully and easily explains what is LBW. But in a nutshell, a batsman is out LBW when all of the following 5 criteria are met. First, the ball is not a no ball. Second, the ball touches striker's body or equipment before it touches the striker's bat. Third is the hitting rule, which basically says that ball was going to hit the wicket and remove the bails, but it was obstructed by a body part of the batsman. Next is the pitching rule. If the ball is not intercepted full pitch, the ball was pitched in the stump line or outside the line of the off stump or in the line of the leg stump. But basically, in summary, it says that the ball is not pitched outside the line of leg stump. So that is the pitching criteria that must be met. The next is the impact one. It is also a very easy one to understand, but we must know that impact or the point of impact is that the point where ball meets the body of the batsman, and where that point lies determines to a great extent whether the batsman is out LBW or not. This entire rule is summarized in this table. So if the impact is in the stump line and the striker's attempt to play the stroke is genuine, then the batsman can be given out. But if the striker's attempt to play the stroke is not genuine, even then he can be out because the impact is within the stump line. Now if the impact is outside of off stump, the striker cannot be given out if his attempt to play the stroke is genuine. And similarly, if the attempt to play stroke is not genuine, he may be given out if the impact is in the second row here, which is outside the off stump line. Now outside the leg stump line, if the impact is there, then whether the batsman's attempt to play the stroke is genuine or not, the batsman will be not out. So it seems very complicated, but in reality LBW is a very easy rule for getting a batsman out, and this is a frequent way in which batsmen do get out in a cricket match. Now let's look at some other rules of getting a batsman out in cricket. The next is retired, hurt and retired out. If a batsman gets injured and needs to go out of the ground, the batsman is considered retired hurt. He is replaced by one of the batsmen who is yet to bat from his own team. The retired hurt batsman can come back and resume his batting anytime before inning of his team is finished. Now this is slightly different from retired out. Retired out, on the other hand, occurs when the batsman chooses to retire or he walks out of the playing ground without taking umpire's permission. The retired batsman can resume his inning only if the opposing team's captain agrees to it. If the other team's captain does not agree to retired batsman resuming his inning, then the player is declared retired out and he cannot obviously bat. Run out. When batsmen are running across the pitch to complete a run and a fielder hits the stumps with the ball before the batsman reaches the crease, then the batsman can be given run out. This is similar to force out in baseball. Stumped. This is similar to a run out. The difference is that in this case the batsman moves out of the crease to hit a ball, but he misses it, and the wicketkeeper captures the ball and dislodges the bail from the wicket before the batsman is able to return back to his crease. Timed out. If a new batsman arrives at the crease after the 3 minutes, then if the batsman has been dismissed and the new batsman does not arrive within 3 minutes of the dismissal, then the incoming batsman can be given out, timed out. Let's now understand how does an inning end in cricket. An inning ends if 10 of the 11 players of the batting team are made out by the fielding team, or the fielding team completes its given number of overs in that inning. So at that time also the inning will be finished. For example, in a T20 match, if the fielding team finishes bowling 20 overs, then the batting inning will be over, or the bowling inning you can call it. A team does not have to be all out, that is, all the 10 players do not have to get out for an inning to be over. And this is unlike baseball. In baseball, an inning will complete when 3 batters have been made out, but this is not the condition in cricket. The second way an inning can finish is that if the captain of the batting team feels that he has scored enough runs, he can bring his team's batting to a close by making a declaration, or this is called as the inning has been declared. Third is that an inning may also end if umpires so decide. For example, when rain interrupts the game, the umpires may decide to cut short an inning, and then at that time also the inning will be finished. Let's now start comparing umpiring in the two sports of cricket and baseball. Let's first start with umpiring in baseball. There are 4 umpires in a baseball game. There is an umpire who stands behind the catcher. He is called as the home plate umpire, or sometimes as the umpire in chief. This is different from the crew chief, who is the chief of the umpiring crew. Crew chief is usually the senior most umpire. He acts as a liaison between the league, meaning the major league or major baseball league office, and the umpiring crew. He also has a supervisory role over the other members of the umpiring crew. The home plate umpire, or the umpire in chief, is in charge of the entire game. This umpire calls balls and strikes. He also calls fair balls, foul balls, and makes most calls concerning the batter or concerning base runners near home plate. Just like the catcher, the home plate umpire also wears a mask, a chest protector, and other protection gear. The other 3 umpires are called as first base umpire, second base umpire, and third base umpire. Their job is to make decisions about whether runners are safe or out at their particular base. The first and third base umpires are also responsible for calling whether ball hits along their lines or foul or fair lines. And they may be called on by the home plate umpire to advise whether a batter went around on check swing. Instant replays. Each team manager is allowed to ask for review of certain types of plays in order to determine the accuracy of the initial call of the umpires on the field. In Major League Baseball, all instant replay reviews are examined by umpires at the Replay Command Center in the New York City. The examiner at the command center has the final decision authority. He can uphold or overturn the initial decision of the umpire on the field. Most plays can be reviewed, but whether pitch was a ball or a strike is not reviewed. If challenge by a team manager is unsuccessful, they are not permitted another challenge. In addition to the 2 team managers, the crew chief may also initiate a review from the 8th inning onwards. Most plays may be reviewed, but not whether a pitch was a ball or a strike. A strike is called by the plate umpire by throwing his arm out in a sharp manner or clenching his fist in an upward motion. The call of a third strike will usually be over-exaggerated. A ball is called without any signal. If the umpire does not make a signal, then it is a ball. Safe is normally called by a sweeping motion of both arms, while out is called by pumping one arm as if trying to beat a door open. So there are some other umpire signals that we are showing on the screen. So this signal is for do not pitch, which is basically you stop and he points his arm straight out. Other is play ball, pointing an index finger towards the pitcher. Other are foul tip and count. We also have foul ball, dead ball or timeout, and then fair ball. These signals are explained here on the screen for your information. Signals for the umpire for infield fly and delayed dead ball are shown here on the screen for your information. Let's now talk about cricket umpires. Traditionally, cricket matches have 2 umpires on the field. When a ball is being bowled, one umpire stands behind the wicket at the non-striker's end. He is the main umpire who gives decisions. The other umpire, the striker's end umpire, takes the position that he feels gives him the best view of the play. He usually, but not always, stands at the square leg position. These 2 umpires change positions at the end of each over. The umpire at bowler's end makes decisions on LBW no ball, runouts on his end, wide balls, leg byes, etc. The umpire on striker's end decides on stumping and runouts on his end. Professional matches also have a referee. A match referee is there to enforce ICC's Cricket Code of Conduct. He makes no decision pertaining to the given match. There is also a third umpire or a TV umpire. The third umpire stays off the playing field. He also has access to the TV footage for replays and making his decisions. On-field umpires may decide to consult the third umpire called as an umpire review. Or players may ask that the third umpire consider a decision made by an on-field umpire, and this is called as the Player Review or Umpire Decision Review System (UDRS). The UDRS is now known as the Decision Review System or the DRS. Now let's talk about the umpire signals in the cricket game. To declare an out, umpire raises his index finger. Generally, the umpire raises his arm and index finger in that arm to indicate that a batsman is out. A white ball is signaled by extending both arms horizontally. Now, other signals by the umpire are shown here on this screen. You will notice that there are many signals such as for the boundary 6, for a new ball, by or out, and there are so many other signals. You can read about them also on this screen. Some of these umpire signals are also described in words on this screen, so you can also have a look at that. Let us now talk about some key terms in the game of baseball. Let's start with passed ball and the wild pitches. So you can read about them on the screen, but basically it means that when the catcher does not catch the ball and the runner is able to advance to the bases, and if it is catcher's fault, then it is called as a passed ball. And if it is the fault of the pitcher, that is he threw the ball that it could not have been caught, then it is called as the wild pitch. Awarding an extra base to the runners, you can compare it with the overthrow situation in cricket. In cricket, if fielders throw the ball on wicket and miss, it is up to the batsman to run and score extra runs. They are not automatically credited the runs. But here in baseball, they are automatically allowed to go to the next base, and this is a situation when fielder throws the ball and misses the target and the ball goes out of the play. For example, it goes into the dugout or goes into the stand. Then all runners are normally awarded 2 extra bases. There is not an exact comparison, but somewhat comparison. If you have to draw, you can draw it with the cricket's overthrow situation. A grand slam, you can say the grand slam takes place when 4 runs are scored on one pitch. This is the highest score that can be scored on one pitch. In this case, bases loaded, that is, there is a runner on first base, second base and a third base, and the batter hits a home run. So he gets 1 run by hitting the ball across and over the fence, and all the other runners are able to walk and cross the home plate. So in total you get 4 runs. You can compare it to cricket's 6, where 6 is the maximum runs that can be scored on a ball, unless of course the ball is not a no ball or the 6 was not a result of overthrow, etc. Runs batted in. It is basically a score or a credit that is given to the hitter. When a base runner scores a run as a result of another batter making a hit, then the another batter is credited with an RBI or run batted in. An RBI has no value in the game. It is just a recognition given to the player making the hit and helping someone else to score the run. So it is a very important thing for the players that they score more and more RBIs, but in a game or in a contest between the two teams, this may not have any value to the ultimate score of the player's team. Table setter. Basically, table setter is a player who, instead of hitting big, aims to just advance to the next base. So these are the people who are sent initially to bat, and they are basically the table setter because their aim is to reach to the first base and progress further into the bases. You can read more about them on the screen here. A slugger. A slugger is basically a player who aims to hit big instead of just advancing to the next base. A slugger is generally sent in at the number 3 position because normally previous batters would have progressed ahead to the next bases, and if he hits big, the chances of finally making a score would increase. So slugger is basically a person or a player who aims to hit big instead of just advancing to the next base. A pinch hitter and a pinch runner, these are basically the substitute players. If a player substitutes a hitter, then he's a pinch hitter. If he substitutes a runner, then he's basically a pinch runner. Designated hitter is basically a player who is meant to only bat and not field. So basically these are substitute players, and these players bat in place of the pitcher. Fair ball and a foul ball. Fair or foul ball depends on where the ball lands after being hit by the batter. If it is within the foul lines, then it is a fair ball. If it is outside the foul lines, then it is a foul ball. Now let's talk about different formats of a cricket game. Cricket is played in many formats. 3 most important formats are first class cricket, one day or list A cricket, 2020 or T20 cricket. The additional three types of cricket are merely the international forms of each of these three types, and these are known as tests, one day international or ODI, T20 or 2020 internationals. An important thing to note is that each of these formats is played for both men and women. That is, women also have T20, men also have T20. There are test matches for women as well as test matches for men as well. Now, first class cricket is normally a 4-day affair, and sometimes it is 5 days as well. Test matches, on the other hand, are 5 days, and at least there should be 90 overs per day. Both of them have 2 innings for each team. There is no restriction on number of overs a team can bat, and both the teams bat alternatively until all the 4 innings are finished, or the inning is declared by the captain of the batting team. One day or list A cricket is normally about 40 hours or 50 overs, but corresponding one day international games are all 50 overs per team. Now, they used to be 60 overs per team, but in current times it is always 50 overs per team, and there are 1 innings for each team. 2020 or T20 is the latest cricket format, and in this, 1 inning is given to each team. Each team plays for 20 overs, and the total match duration is about 3 hours. T20 international games are merely the T20 games played between teams which have ODI status, that is one day international status, and the games are played in ICC sanctioned tournaments.